What's up, Safemoon Army? I'm making this video to help clarify a lot of the misinformation going around Reddit and StockTwits regarding how reflections and burns work, and to help give some mathematical analysis on the price and supply of Safemoon to help us give some hints at what we're likely to see in the future. But for starters, there's just far too many incorrect theories going around as to how Safemoon's burns and reflections work, how and when the tax is applied. There's also going around that Pancake swap users do not get the correct amount of reflections due to more and more users joining other exchanges, but that's also incorrect. But to start, let's review one of Safemoon's primary functions, the transfer function. I'm a software developer and I have a good understanding of the Solidity programming language, and after reading through Safemoon's source code, it is pretty clear-cut how this function works. To start, there is no difference between a buy, a sell, or a transfer on the blockchain. There is no buying and selling. There's only transferring from one wallet to another. What users and people consider to be buying is transferring from an exchange wallet to a personal wallet. And what users consider to be selling is the opposite, a transfer from a personal wallet back to an exchange like Pancake swap or Bitmart. Every time this transfer function is called, which is always, you have to call it, to buy anything, to sell anything, to transfer anything, there's a 10% tax taken out of that initial transaction. So if Alice gifts Bob $100 in Safemoon, Bob would only receive $90. That $10 that Bob does not receive gets broken up and split into two halves. $5, 5% of that, gets sent to liquidity, which I'll go over in another video because that's a topic in itself. The other $5, the other 5% of the transaction, is split up amongst all of the holders. We refer to this split up as the reflections, and that's what we'll be diving deeper into. But wait, what about the burn? Isn't there some burn function that burns the coins? No, there is no burn function. That does not exist in the code. Instead, there's a burn address, which is a wallet, just like any wallet. But the only difference is this wallet does not have a private key associated with it. And for people new to cryptography or blockchain, it just basically makes it impossible to ever access those funds or send them anywhere else. This wallet can't be hacked because what hackers are trying to get is your private key, and this wallet has no private key, so that's the end of that. But this burn wallet does count as a holder, so it also gets a share of their reflections, and this is critical. How much of a share? Right now, almost half. At the time of making this video, the burn wallet has 416 trillion tokens in it, which is 41.6% of the entire supply of 1 quadrillion Safemoon. A common misconception is that the more holders we have, the less reflections we receive. This is false. This would only be true if the reflections we received were the same and never changed from holder to holder, but that is not the case. The bigger of a bag you have, the more Safemoon you are rewarded with. Since the burn wallet owns 41.6% of the supply, it will burn, whatever you want to call it, 41.6 of our reflections, or $2.08 out of that $5 that was split up off of Alice's gift to Bob. Our top whale, for instance, owns 27 trillion tokens. He has 2.7% of the supply of Safemoon, so he will receive 2.7% of $5, or 14 cents out of that transaction. What this means is that the burn wallet, like everyone else's wallet, is getting bigger and bigger over time, every second actually. Relatively soon, the burn wallet is going to have 990 trillion tokens in it, and that'll be eating 99% of every reflection. That's going to leave us, our poor Safemoon army, with only 1% out of the 5% we once loved. Isn't this bad? No, it's not bad at all. The reflections we receive will not change or slow down. Exactly, it's the opposite. They're going to speed up. And everyone gets this wrong. The reflections you receive are based on two things and two factors only: the volume and the number of Safemoon you own. As long as you don't sell, your reflections in US dollars will only grow as long as the volume grows or stays constant, because your Safemoon bag is consistently increasing. What changes is the reflections in Safemoon tokens themselves, and this is due to the price of Safemoon at each given moment during any transaction. The value in USD will stay the same or increase, but the arbitrary number of Safemoon you receive will change depending on price. Whether you receive 1 million today or 200,000 the next day, that's based on price and volume. Your market share, this doesn't change. This is described as that percent of the total supply you own. And total supply, not circulating supply, so it's 1 quadrillion. The market share of the burn wallet is again 41.6% because it owns 416 trillion out of the 1 quadrillion tokens. So to calculate your market share, you take the number of Safemoon you own and you divide by 1 quadrillion, 1 followed by 15 zeros. So if you want to calculate what your reflections would be given under a given volume and a given number of Safemoon, it can be calculated as following. You take 5% of the volume, so that is 0.05 times volume times your market share. And your market share you can rewrite as the number of Safemoon you have divided by 1 quadrillion. So that gives us a nice, neat equation. Reflections equals 0.05 times Safemoon times volume divided by 1 quadrillion. Now remember, this is the same exact equation we used for the burn wallet. We apply this to every transaction that occurs on a Safemoon contract. Now let's rewrite this a little bit. Let's put that 0.05 into the denominator, and we get a much nicer equation of reflections equals volume times Safemoon divided by 20 quadrillion, 2 with 16 zeros. By rewriting the denominator, we can see that reflections is nothing more than volume times Safemoon multiplied by a constant, 1 over 20 quadrillion. That part doesn't change. But what's beautiful about this is it tells us exactly what we need to know. It shows the direct linear relationship between reflections, volume, and Safemoon. If either volume or your Safemoon bag increases, reflections do too, linearly. To calculate, for instance, how much volume do I need to make X $1,000 in reflections, just do some algebra. Isolate volume, substitute in however many $1,000 you want for reflections, and solve for volume. Okay, we've said a lot. To recap, this is good. We have our equations. Let's apply this to what we see day to day. So the standard volume we've seen lately is around $50 million daily. And to calculate what a person with 1 billion tokens receives from this $50 million, let's just substitute it into our equation. So we put in 50 million for volume and 1 billion for Safemoon, and that gives us with a neat answer of 2.5. What is this number? This is the value in US dollars of your daily reflections. If you have 1 billion coins and the daily volume is $50 million, you get $2.50. How many Safemoon is this? Well, that depends on the price. So let's divide our answer by the current price of Safemoon. At the time of writing, it's 5 zeros with a 5 at the end. And our $2.50 is 500,000 Safemoon, or 500,000 Safemoon. So if you have 1 billion Safemoon and the daily volume is $50 million, you should expect to see 500,000 Safemoon at this current price, which is about right. I personally have 2.5 billion Safemoon, and I have been seeing about 1.25 million Safemoon per day. And yeah, no questions there. Obviously, I was receiving more near the all-time high when the volume was bigger. But when it's around that 50 million mark, about 1 million a day seems right to me. At our all-time high, our volume reached as high as $500 million. For a top-tier coin, this is pitiful. Volumes in the billions are common for most coins, and I believe the difficulty in buying and selling Safemoon has a lot to do with this gap. In the future, I believe we can easily see volumes of 1 billion plus. Let's see how much money that is. So if we substitute in values, 1 billion for volume and 1 billion coins, we get 50 as our answer. $50 per day per billion coins that you own. Me sitting at 2.5 billion, that would net me $125 per day, or about $43,000 a year, just for holding Safemoon. And $1 billion in volume is kind of the floor, in my opinion, if all these things come to fruition that they're promising. Thinking bigger, as one does, what if the volume ever reaches Doge levels? Doge is the king of shit coins, so why not compare ourselves to that? That seems reasonable and not too far-fetched. So Doge has seen in its peak volumes around $20 billion, which is a lot, I'll give you that. But I believe that Safemoon can easily reach $20 billion in volume daily with the exchange, the wallet, debit cards, purchase through USD via Simplex, and if any of that Gambia shit ever pays off. So if we reach Doge level volumes, substituting in 20 billion Safemoon, 1 billion Safemoon, $20 billion, we get $1,000 per day per billion Safemoon that you own. Or myself personally would be getting $2,500 per day, or $912,000 per year. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. The math just blows my mind, and I think people are starting to realize this. Okay, so exactly how much Safemoon that is, it depends on the price, which fluctuates, we know this. But what's certain is the USD amount that you get relative to your market share and the volume. And the whales know this. The whales with 1 trillion coins are earning right now $50,000 per day just for holding, per trillion, which is $1 million per day if it reaches Doge levels, per trillion coins. Our top whale would be making $27 million per day. That's why he's held through this thick and thin. He has over $200 million in Safemoon. Well, did at our all-time high. He's just kept on holding. He knows this. Smart money knows this. Once the public can realize how much of a hidden gem this is, there will be no stopping the demand for Safemoon, and that's when we will see these exponential gains. I don't even know if I'll sell then. The daily income that we could receive from this is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I think you should stock up now, because once the price does explode, getting these millions or billions of Safemoon won't be achievable anymore unless you're already filthy rich. Right now, it's only, like $7,000 for a billion Safemoon? Alright, I don't know. I think it's going to explode. But quickly, let me go over my honest price predictions for Safemoon, giving a modest, likely, and moon prediction, each with dramatically decreased probabilities for end of year and in the end of 3 years. But before I say my predictions, I'd like to explain market cap quickly. Market cap is a term used to describe the valuation of something, what the entire market is worth for a particular asset. This value for cryptocurrency is calculated by multiplying the number of coins in circulation by the existing price, giving you a total value of what all Safemoon coins, for instance, would be worth collectively. There are roughly 584 trillion Safemoon coins in circulation at the time of making this video, and the price is around 0.0005, giving us a market cap of slightly over 3.5 billion. The price of an asset is arbitrary. It does not matter. Saying Bitcoin is worth more than Ethereum means nothing when comparing the two, since there are over 5 times as many Ethereum coins as Bitcoins in circulation. Market cap is the way to rank these currencies and these assets. Again, it accurately describes their overall value. Sorry for any experienced market traders watching. Safemoon has a lot of first-time investors, so I want to clarify that first. So again, market cap, calculated by multiplying price times supply. And we can rewrite this equation, like any equation, and we can get a better understanding of how price is inversely calculated. By dividing both sides of the equation by supply, we can see that price is equal to the market cap of a currency divided by its supply. And there's a lot of conclusions and exciting avenues to explore from this point when talking about Safemoon, because not only does the market cap have tons of room to grow, but the supply is constantly shrinking. And as we see by our equation, when the supply shrinks and the market cap stays the same, the price only can go up. What's fun about Safemoon is we can talk futuristically when we have X trillion tokens, because it will happen at some point in the future. The burn wallet is eating tokens at an exponential rate. And this poses some really fun hypotheticals when thinking about how long I should really hold for and what price predictions are actually possible. Okay, so again, for my end of year price predictions, I have 3 categories: modest, likely, and moon. Modest being the modest approach, likely being what I believe will probably happen, and the moon being what I would want to have happened, but I'm not going to throw all my eggs in that basket. Okay, so for my modest approach, I believe we will have a market cap of around $15 billion, a supply of 500 trillion, and a price that would leave us with a price of 0.00003, or a 600% change from right now. The likely solution, I think, is that we are going to have a $40 billion market cap. We'll burn a lot more supply down to 460 trillion, and we'll get a price of 0.0008, or a 16 times jump from where we are right now. Okay, and what I would love to see, and may or may not happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility, would be a $250 billion market cap. Everything goes well, investors see this as a competitor to Bitcoin, the Tangle's announced, everything just goes mayhem. $250 billion market cap, 360 trillion supply, all that volume burnt those tokens to a crisp. That leaves us with a price of 0.00694. or a 138 times jump from where we are right now. 0.00694. That would make anyone with over 2 billion Safemoon a multimillionaire. Okay, That's my end of year price predictions. Now I'm going to do my 3-year price predictions for Modest, Likely, and Moon. My 3-year Modest prediction would be a $20 billion market cap, 160 trillion supply, leaving us with a price of 0.0001 or 25x where we are from now. That's about 1/100 of a penny. My likely prediction in 3 years would be a $100 billion market cap and 100 trillion in supply, leaving us with a price of 0.001 or 1/10 of a penny, or a 200x jump from here. And my moon prediction for 3 years, it matches Bitcoin as a store of value, huge global support, used throughout Africa. If all these came true, we could potentially see a $1 trillion market cap for Safemoon. And if we can burn that supply down to 50 trillion coins left, that would leave us with a price of 2 cents or 4,000x from here. And this isn't even that unbelievable, because we've seen $1 trillion market caps before. We've seen bigger ones for stores of value, Bitcoin. This is part of the reason why I'm so bullish on Safemoon. This is why I believe that we could see a penny. It is possible. Not this year, but in the years to come. There's no way we can break above $1 trillion market cap with the way the market is right now. This will take time. Short term though, I'm still bullish. Long term, I'm even more bullish. I believe $1 trillion market cap could be possible, but even if it's not, we don't need it. Over time, we will lower the supply to where we'll get the prices we want. It's just a waiting game. It's who has stronger hands. But thank you guys for watching. This was my first YouTube video ever, so if you wouldn't mind leaving a like and a comment and subscribing, I will be posting a lot more Safemoon content and cryptocurrency, altcoin content in general. My next video is going to cover why the prices differ between exchanges, and it's going to squash the FUD about people using exchanges and those reflections not counting toward users on Pancake swap, because that is false. So thank you and stay tuned. Why is the price always different depending on the exchange? To any experienced traders who have a solid understanding of arbitrage and how it pertains to Safemoon, just skip to the end of the video where I introduce my Safemoon use case that has been in development for over 2 months now, and information regarding my first of many Safemoon giveaways. Okay, back on topic. The major reason behind this difference in price is arbitrage, well, the lack thereof. Arbitrage is a way of making low-risk profits in any market due to the differences in price of an asset within different ecosystems. I assume everyone here knows how supply and demand influences the price of an asset, so I will skip that part and just start with an example. There is a potato distribution business in Idaho. Idaho has ideal potato growing conditions, and the number of people per capita is relatively small, allowing for cheaper land, so this potato distributor is able to produce potatoes at a vastly lower cost than people trying to produce the same potatoes in New York, for instance, where the supply is lower and the demand is also higher because there are a lot more mouths to feed. Arbitrage actor Alice sees this as an opportunity to make an easy, low-risk profit. In the Idaho potato market, a bag of potatoes can sell for as low as $3, whereas back in New York, Alice's hometown, the same bag would fetch any knowledgeable potato salesman $5 minimum. Alice packs her suitcase and gets on the next flight to Idaho. She will buy as many potatoes as she can to maximize her profits and cover her traveling expenses. Alice returns back to New York to sell her Idaho potatoes at the New York market value of $5. If Alice makes enough trips and buys enough bags of potatoes, she will reduce the supply of potatoes in Idaho, increasing their demand and thus increasing their price. Likewise, she will flood the New York market with potatoes, increasing their supply and thus lowering their price until there is equilibrium, and potatoes are worth the same across all markets, the New York market and the Idaho market. This is arbitrage. It is making a profit off of the differences in price of the same asset in different markets, such as the $2 discrepancy between potatoes in New York and the same potatoes in Idaho. Arbitrage can and does exist in every marketplace that is not monopolized. And even though arbitrage only exists because of the differences in price, it actually stabilizes the price when users act on it. Let's use cryptocurrency as an example. Different cryptocurrency markets have their own supply and demand for any particular asset. Let's use Bitcoin. Market maker Bob has just listed Bitcoin on his exchange, and as a result, Bob's market has seen a massive amount of buy orders compared to sell orders, causing the value of Bitcoin to rise in that isolated market. And at this moment, Bob's Bitcoin is worth more than any other Bitcoin on other markets. But wait, if this is true, why does the price of Bitcoin stay around the same no matter which exchange you look at? Because of arbitrage. Now let's say Bob's value of Bitcoin is $40,500. Market maker Charlie has had Bitcoin listed for several years. Its supply and demand fluctuates steadily with the market, and the price of Bitcoin is stable here around $40,000 even. Arbitrage actor Alice buys as much Bitcoin as she can from market maker Charlie because it is at a much lower price than what market maker Bob is offering. She then sends her Bitcoin over to Bob and sells it in Bob's market for a higher price, and repeats this cycle until the price evens out. Why does the price even out? Because as Bob's Bitcoin rises in value, arbitrage actors begin flooding other markets with buy orders, and likewise flooding Bob's market with sell orders of the Bitcoin they had just purchased and transferred over from a different market. If the price does not correct itself, arbitrage actors will simply continue this process forever, basically printing money until the supply and demand across the two exchanges are equal. Okay, Mark, this is cool, but what does this mean for Safemoon? Why can't arbitrage help Safemoon remain stable on the different markets like Bitcoin and potatoes? The answer has to do with that 10% tax applied to every buy, sell, and transfer of Safemoon. For arbitrage actors, this is intimidating. In order for an actor to make money, the difference in price between the exchanges needs to be 27.1% higher than the exchange they buy from, and I am excluding network fees as they become obsolete with large transactions. Why 27%? Isn't it 10%? Well, let's see. Let's see if Alice will make money buying Safemoon on Pancake Swap for 0.00005 and selling it on Bitmark for 0.00006. Alice notices the price difference and rushes over to Pancake Swap to load up on Safemoon. Her initial investment does not matter, so we will call it X. Upon purchase, Alice loses 10% of her tokens, resulting in 0.9x of the tokens she would have started with without a tax. When Alice transfers these to Bitmark, she loses another 10%, or is left with 0.81x her initial investment. When she finally sells, she pays one more 10% tax, reducing her investment down to 72.9%. If you follow along with my math, you will notice that Alice will net a loss with these prices, regardless of how much money she puts in. Now, let's generalize this for all prices and initial investments to get a nice equality. As explained earlier, if Alice is hoping to profit off arbitrage with Safemoon, she must expect to sell no greater than 72.9% of her initial investment of tokens. First thing we have to figure out is how many tokens will we be able to sell. We take our initial investment X and divide it by the buy price B. That gives us the amount of tokens we would have if there was no taxes included at all. We then multiply this result by 0.729, as that is the number of tokens that we will be left with after all taxes are included. This answer is the number of tokens we have to sell in Safemoon. To get this value in USD, we must multiply it by the price of the exchange we are selling on. We will refer to this price as S. Okay, that's the end. What is the answer to this equation? This is the value in US dollars of your investment after all fees are considered. So what does this answer need to be? It needs to be greater than your initial investment, or else you're doing all this just to lose money. Okay, we have a fairly ugly equation. Let's rewrite it to make it look more readable. So if we move things around, we can see that 0.729x times the sale price divided by the buy price must be greater than X. This is kind of better, but there is still an X on both sides of the equation and there's no addition or subtraction to worry about, so let's divide both sides of this equation by X. And as a side note, your initial investment cannot be negative, so no, we do not need to flip the equality sign. Much nicer. We now have a wonderful way of evaluating whether or not the price between exchanges will net you profit with Safemoon. Sale price divided by buy price times 0.729 must be greater than 1. Let's see if Alice, in our example from before, would make any money. By substituting in the values for sale and buy prices, we see that we get an answer of 0.8748, which means Alice would be left with only 87.5% of her investment if she had gone through with that arbitrage trade. Not good. You can make the equality shorter by moving the 0.729 to the other side, but this is an easy fraction to remember considering it's taking 10% of 1 3 times. So I left it that way. Well, what price does Bitmart need to be in order for Alice to make money? Let's rewrite our equation. If we multiply both sides of our equality by the buy price, we find that the sale price times 0.729 must be greater than the buy price to see a profit. To see the minimum sale price we need to make money, just divide both sides by 0.729 and we see that sale price must be greater than the buy price divided by 0.729, or we will lose money on our trade. So let's divide the Pancake swap price of 0.00005 by 0.729 and we will get the answer of 0.000068587. If the price is anywhere above this point, we can expect to make a profit. What this means is there are no arbitrage actors equalizing the price of Safemoon between markets unless one exchange's price is around 1/3 more expensive than another, which has happened before. Bitmart has seen some crazy runs which were quickly diffused by arbitrage actors and brought back within this 27.1% range. Without arbitrage actors, there is no force to govern the price of Safemoon on different markets other than the supply and demand of the markets themselves. But rest assured that the price difference will never stray far from 27.1%, and if it does, you have a serious opportunity to earn free Safemoon. I encourage experienced traders to look for these swings in price as they are fairly common. Arbitrage sounds like a nasty word, but it only would help Safemoon in every way. Not only would exchange prices remain in balance, but the repeated buys, transfers, and sells would mean crazy reflections and crazy burns as well. It's a true win-win-win for the entire community. However, this is not financial advice, and arbitrage is risky in this case. I hope this helped clarify a lot of the questions you were having regarding the difference in price between exchanges. I have much more content lined up for you guys over the next couple days. I'm also giving away 25 million Safemoon if we can get my Twitter up to 1,000 followers. We are starting small, and this will be my first of many Safemoon giveaways. To enroll in this giveaway, just simply follow my Twitter at markymark_4200. The link will be in the description. Twitter will allow me to communicate with the community directly on where there is confusion and what topics you would like me to cover in the future. I'm hoping to grow this beyond a YouTube channel. I've spent the last several months developing a use case for Safemoon and all of the community's favorite altcoins and meme coins. We are in testing right now, but tonight and over the next 2 weeks I'll be giving updates on our progress on my Twitter account and teasing some features. I have established a legal entity, and we are going to extend the lifetime of everyone's favorite meme coins far beyond our own. Now, I'm bullish on meme coins because I feel they are rich in symbolism and history. We might not see it as history yet since we are currently living in this time period, but if a savvy historian is willing to spend $20,000 on an 1800s silver coin from North Carolina with a misprinted letter on it, I believe humanity will be racing to own even a few pieces of the currency that changed currency forever. I need to act fast while meme coins are still hot. If we can get them used daily beyond just investments, we could see meme coins continuing on for generations to come. P.S. If there are any skilled animators or editors watching this, shoot me a private message on Twitter. Well, that about sums it up. Thank you all for tuning in. Leave a like and subscribe if this helped you out at all or if you love meme coins. Stay tuned because I have a lot more content to drop on you guys. We derived in my reflections video, we defined reflections as being volume multiplied by the number of Safemoon you own divided by 20 quadrillion. Again, this output is the value in US dollars of your daily reflections. As I mentioned before, the burn wallet is a holder, and the tokens that are burned are simply the burn wallet's share of these reflections. So to calculate how much of a given volume is burned, we use the same equation. Now, by replacing reflections with burned, we can see that burned equals volume times the number of coins in the burn wallet divided by 20 quadrillion. Now, this is nice, but remember, this answer is in USD, which we don't care about when evaluating the burn wallet. We only care about how many Safemoon are burnt specifically. So we need to divide this answer by the price of Safemoon, or just squeeze the price into the denominator. But as many of you pointed out, these are only good for daily reflections, since the number of coins in the burn wallet grows, and as such, so should our reflections, daily. What we are lacking here is the aspect of compounding interest, because that is basically what this is. Our Safemoon is compounding at a rate over time. However, this rate is based on the volume of Safemoon and isn't fixed like traditional bank accounts. So we can pull in the equation for compounding interest and relate it to our Safemoon tokenomics to be able to accurately predict where the burn wallet will be in the future. If any of you recall from high school, even if you don't, I'll tell you, the equation for compounding interest can be calculated as follows. The new balance is equal to your previous balance multiplied by 1 plus the rate divided by n raised to the nt, where n is the number of times your amount compounds per unit t, and we are evaluating t in days, so n would be the number of transactions that occur per day. But we're going to be using 24-hour volume in our equation, so n becomes 1. So our equation for our compounding burn then becomes new burn equals the current burn times 1 plus rate raised to the t. Great, but what the hell is rate? Rate will be the rate at which we gain tokens, and this value must be represented as a percentage of our current tokens. This may seem confusing, but we have already solved for this. It is our daily burn equation from earlier. The rate at which we gain new tokens per day is the output of the daily burn equation, divided by the number of tokens in the burn wallet. Okay, from here we get this messy equation that rate is equal to the volume times the number of tokens in the burn wallet, divided by 20 quadrillion times price, and then we have to divide this entire answer by the number of tokens in the burn wallet again. Well, what happens here? The number of tokens in the burn wallet cancels out, leaving us with a rate that only relies on volume and price. Now we see that rate is equal to volume divided by 20 quadrillion multiplied by price. Let's substitute this back into our compound interest equation to see that the new burn is equal to the current burn times 1 plus volume divided by, in parentheses, 20 quadrillion times price, all of that raised to the number of days that we will be evaluating this equation for. So if we're doing a month, days would be 30. If we were trying to see the answer in a year, days would be 365. We now have a fully functional equation to model how the burn will compound over the next few years or months or however long you want to look. Feel free to manipulate this equation and isolate variables. It'll give you a lot of insight into how Safemoon works at a core level. But that is out of the scope for this video, so I'll just continue with the burn. Now, a couple of you who also have math degrees are probably saying to yourself, but the volume and price are not constant. You cannot evaluate them as such. And you are right, but by using averages and compounding interest, we can get an incredibly accurate result without needing to break brains. But for my math lovers out there, part 3 is coming soon where I evaluate the burn using differential equations, calculus, and my own modeling software to draw way more accurate conclusions about price, volume, and burn. Okay, now we have our fancy pants equation, but evaluating the burn becomes more complicated now since we have 2 variables for account for instead of just 1, both volume and now price. This is where I realized that we actually want the price of Safemoon to stay low over the next couple months. As long as the price stays low, we could burn to as low as 100 trillion coins this year, which means 1 penny by the end of the year is not as crazy as I thought if things actually played out perfectly. These figures are based on the volume increasing, which I believe full-heartedly will happen once Safemoon is used not only as a currency, but as a way to cover transaction fees across their wallet, exchange, games, Gambia, and their crypto debit card. All these use cases will drive the volume into the billions, which will give some interesting results when we plug them into our equation in a minute. Okay, now this is important. Let's say the price stays where it is now, around 0.00005. And we see volumes close to $1 billion per day once all the catalysts come to pass. Our compounding interest equation tells us the burn wallet will have burnt 15.87 quadrillion tokens. Now, before you close the video and say, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, there's only 580 trillion tokens left, just step back and think about this with me. Our burn equation tells us that $1 billion of volume at this price burns 4.2 trillion tokens per day. When that compounds, we would burn through the entire supply of Safemoon within 100 days. Okay, so something is not right here. Clearly I made some mistake, right? No, this is correct. This means that there is no way we can have volume in the billions while Safemoon is still at this price. What will happen is, once the volume picks up into the billions, and trillions of tokens are burnt per day, the price is going to skyrocket to new all-time highs that we have never seen before. Why? Because it has to. The burn wallet will be burning tokens too quickly. There will be way more demand than supply, and the price will need to go up until we see more reasonable figures. Even if we plug in 1 billion per day when the price is 0.00001, that's still over 2 quadrillion burnt. That price is still not high enough. If we are going to sustain even $1 billion of daily volume, our price needs to rise as high as at least 0.00009, or 18x what it is right now. Personally, I believe Safemoon will see volumes in the tens of billions, and the math says if volume picks up, the price must increase, because it is impossible to burn through quadrillions of tokens when there aren't that many. Okay, enough hypotheticals. Safemoon has seen $587 million before as its highest volume, and lately it has been around the $50 million mark. Where could the burn wallet reasonably be in 3 years? Well, let's assume the worst case. Let's assume the exchange, the debit card, everything barely raised the volume at all. Maybe it'll raise it up to $75 million. If we keep our price of 0.00005, our equation says in 3 years the burn wallet will own 955 trillion tokens, leaving 45 trillion left. Even if we do not gain market cap at all and our valuation for Safemoon stays the same, our price would be 0.00009, or again 18 times higher than it is right now. Even if we do not grow at all as a community or a company, just from a low daily volume, we will see the supply shrink incredibly low if the price stays at these low levels. What that means is the price can't stay at these low levels. Once the price picks up, the equation says it will take tens of years to burn them all, even at super high volumes. But this is reasonable. At this point, we won't even care anymore because everyone watching this video will have 100x their money. Now, I'd spend hours going through different price, volume scenarios for you guys, but you all have this equation now and have access to a calculator. But if you are lazy and you enjoy math, my Part 3 analysis will have a computer doing all of the hard work for us, and we can analyze millions of scenarios per minute, opposed to me spending 10 minutes to get through a couple. All of the cards are saying the price of Safemoon is destined to go up. Right now, the price is too low to support volumes of even $1 billion. So when the volume does reach that point, the price will have no option other than to go straight up to compensate. But even if the price does not go straight up right away, that is still beneficial to us because we will be stacking up tokens as reflections, and we will burn down to under 100 trillion in record speed. I have invested most of my money into Safemoon, as these numbers cannot lie, and eventually the rest of the world will realize it too. However, this is not financial advice, just mathematical analysis. I hope this video helped. I hope it gave you a new perspective on Safemoon, burn, and math in general. If it did, please like and subscribe, and more content's coming soon. Alright, what's up Safemoon Army? It's Safemoon Mark here with an introduction to my Safemoon projection calculator. I recently uploaded this website that allows you guys to mess with my equations that I posted in my last few videos. And it's not that it's necessarily hard to use, but there's a lot of potential here that I wanted to highlight for everybody. Here's the current version of the website, if you haven't seen it already. The main page has some basic stats about Safemoon's market data, such as a 7-day average of burns and reflections, as well as the values, ROI, and annual percentage yield your bag has seen in the last 24 hours. There's also a chat forum, which I'll check daily. We can communicate together as a community, and you guys can let me know your thoughts and feelings about Safemoon, the projects we're working on, as well as any future projects you guys would want me to start up. I'm currently expanding the team to include more developers, animators, and editors, and although I haven't had much luck finding any help yet, hopefully soon we can really get the ball rolling and start pumping out some crazy Safemoon use cases to really help the devs and the community as much as possible. So, back to the calculator. This first section has us enter in our Safemoon balance. I'll enter in 1 billion to start. So, if we have 1 billion Safemoon, we would have made 82 cents in USD, or 200,000 Safemoon over the last 24 hours. Nice. What if the volume was higher, or lower? Or what if the price was higher or lower? Let's find out. If we scroll down, we can see we can edit the average price and volume of Safemoon and see how that would affect our reflections. Also, pay attention to these buttons that switch between thousands, millions, and billions. They're there so you don't have to type in so many zeros all the time. If the volume was up today and around some of our previous highs of 150 million, we would have accrued $7.50 USD, or 1.8 million Safemoon. Let's see what happens if we change the price. Let's say the price was higher. Let's say at 0.00001. We see that our reflection in USD stays the same. As I mentioned in my first video, your reflections in USD has nothing to do with the price, only the volume. But what happened to our Safemoon reflections? What was once 1.8 million is now 750,000, even with the same volume. Well, let's cut our price to be about half of what it is right now, or 0.00002. We can see that again our USD stays the same, but our reflections go through the roof. What we can draw here is that the lower the prices, the more reflections you gain, and the higher the prices, the less reflections you gain. This applies exponentially if we scroll down and change the number of days in the future we are projecting to. You can really see how lower prices compound here. I hope you can see that the longer the price stays low, the better off we are in the future. Okay, now if we put $1 billion in for volume and see what happens in 2 years, we get a pretty wacky result. This says we will have over 8.5 trillion Safemoon by this time. This is not accurate. What this tells us is if we have $1 billion of volume for 2 years, the current price is too low to sustain it. This is where I first deduced my previous price floor target of 0.00009 as the lowest possible price we need in order to maintain even a few years of $1 billion of volume. If the price is averaged around 0.00009, you will gain roughly half of your total earnings back in 2 years with $1 billion in average 24-hour volume. That's 18x from here and still an insane APY. If you want to see projections of the burn wallet, remember that burnt tokens are nothing more than the burn wallet's reflections. So just simply plug in how many Safemoon the burn wallet currently has into our Safemoon balance field. At the time of making this video, the burn wallet has 417 trillion tokens, so you plug that in and see what spits out. I encourage all of you to mess around with these numbers and the rest of the app. I'll be adding much more content over the next few weeks, including a whale watching section, user profiles, and whatever else you guys want. Website development is not my strength, per se, as a software engineer. If you guys haven't guessed by now, my brain works almost entirely off numbers, not art. But you guys have encouraged me to break out of my comfort zone and try new things. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoy Safemoon or math content, and follow my Twitter at markymark_4200 to be enrolled in my weekly Safemoon giveaways. Thanks guys, liquidity coming soon. Safemoon Mark out. What's up Safemoon Army? Safemoon Mark here to go over exactly what happens when we decide to stop the burn of Safemoon. If this concept of stopping the burn is new to any of you, the developers of Safemoon have expressed multiple times that when the supply gets to a desirable point, we will be stopping Safemoon from burning its supply on every transaction. What governs the burn of Safemoon is the burn wallet, which is treated as a holder. And like all holders, the burn wallet gains reflections, passive income, based on the number of Safemoon it owns. These reflections are therefore burned from the supply, since the burn wallet has no private key, and therefore these funds can never be accessed or brought back into circulation. As you may recall from my previous videos, the amount of reflections any holder gains can be expressed as follows. 5% of every transaction is separated and split up amongst all Safemoon holders. The total value of every transaction that occurs over a period of time is defined as volume, how much money in Safemoon has been sent around to various wallets, whether it is a buy, a sell, or a transfer. So 5% or 1/20th of our volume is split up for all the holders. The amount of reflections one specific holder will gain will be this result multiplied by your market share, how many Safemoon you own relative to the total number of Safemoon that exist. In our case, this is 1 quadrillion. After rewriting, we have a neat equation that tells us how much our daily reflections will be worth relative to the daily volume. Our equation is reflections equal volume multiplied by the number of Safemoon you own divided by 20 quadrillion. I go into greater depth on this topic in my first video, and the link will be in the description. This equation uses our total supply, 1 quadrillion, even though we have over 420 trillion burnt tokens. Why? Because the burn wallet is also gaining reflections, so its holdings count toward this calculation and this distribution. In the source code for the Safemoon protocol, there is an empty list named exclude from rewards. and as the name suggests, any wallet address included in this list is exempt from receiving reflections. Now, to stop the burn process from continuing, the developers would simply add the burn wallet address to this list. If the burn wallet was to suddenly stop gaining reflections, what would that do to our daily reflections? No longer will we need to account for those burned tokens when calculating reflections. The only tokens that will count are tokens that are either held by users, exchanges, and unlocked liquidity pools. At this point, our burned tokens truly will be burned, as they can never be brought back into circulation and will not gain interest on themselves. This is a simple update to our equation, because instead of focusing on the total supply of tokens, 1 quadrillion, we use our circulating supply, which at the time of writing is near 580 trillion tokens. Note that circulating supply, when referring to cryptocurrency, refers to the total supply in existence, in Safemoon's case, the total number of coins that have not been burned. So our new equation becomes reflections in USD is equal to the volume times the number of Safemoon you own divided by 20 times the circulating supply. At this point, I hope you guys can see the inverse relationship between reflections and circulating supply. The lower the circulating supply is capped, the larger your reflections will be if you do not sell your tokens. Let us substitute in some values to see how our reflections will behave under various conditions. For starters, I will introduce my favorite equation. Assuming we do not stop the burn, let us assume I have 5 billion Safemoon, my personal goal, and our daily volume reaches and stays steady at $1 billion, which is modest if the exchange, debit card, or blockchain perform even decently well. Since the burn wallet is still in effect today, we will divide by our normal value, 20 quadrillion, and see that you will earn $250 per day per $1 billion in volume, just for holding. This value does not change based on price, and will only increase based on how large the burn wallet becomes. If you notice, there is no reference to the size of the burn wallet in this equation. A common misconception is that the bigger the burn wallet gets, the less reflections you will receive, when the truth is exactly the opposite. Let us assume we stop the burn at 10 trillion tokens. If you are truly emerald-handed and hold at least 1 billion Safemoon at this point, let's see how much money you will earn every day. By substituting in values to our equation, using 10 trillion as the circulating supply and 1 billion as the number of Safemoon owned, for $1 billion in volume, you see that you will earn $5,000 per day. That's right, if at this point we have a day where we get $10 billion of volume, that will be $50,000 added into your Safemoon balance over the course of the day. If we update the number of Safemoon we own to 5 billion, this becomes $25,000 per day per $1 billion of volume. If we lower the circulating supply to 1 trillion, we see that this becomes $250,000 per day per $1 billion in volume. This is why, despite any dip, I have not sold my Safemoon. I bought in the beginning and I have not even considered it. We saw $600 million in volume despite being near impossible to buy and with no use cases developed yet. Holding is rewarding with Safemoon. I do not care about the price. The lower the price is, the quicker we will burn these coins to get to this low circulating supply that we are dreaming of. I could not care less if the price of Safemoon is up or down on any particular day. I care about volume and doing anything I can to increase it. The reason I say forget the price is because once I hit my goal of 5 billion Safemoon, I am not selling under that point, regardless of how much my bag is worth. I will be throwing away a lifetime of reflections by doing so. I may sell my reflections weekly once I am comfortable with the size of my holdings, and I will use this weekly income to either branch out and increase my investment portfolio or have it pay for aspects of my daily life. If the devs are thinking like I am, they are already creating additional methods for burning the supply of Safemoon beyond this stopping point, entirely separate from the traditional reflection method of burning Safemoon that we see today. I have several projects in the work to do exactly this, and I am really looking forward to unveiling these to you over the next few months. Volume is key for the future of Safemoon, and the developers being so adamant about creating an abundance of use cases just furthers my excitement. Safemoon is not a buy low, sell high type of investment. It is more like buy whenever and earn interest forever. There are just so many aspects of Safemoon that appeal to me, and I have so much more content to deliver to all of you, so hopefully you can feel as passionate about the project as I do. Liquidity. You hear it mentioned everywhere, but what does it mean, and specifically what does it mean for Safemoon? That's what we'll be covering, and for any of you who have a solid understanding of how liquidity works in DeFi, you should skip ahead until I go over what liquidity means for Safemoon specifically. For those of you who remember my first tokenomics video, I explained the transaction process of Safemoon. If Alice sends Bob $100 in Safemoon, 90% of that, or $90, is received by Bob, and 10%, or $10, is separated, split in half. 5%, or $5, is redistributed to all Safemoon holders, and the other 5% is sent to liquidity. But what's liquidity? If an asset or item is considered liquid, it means it can be sold or purchased easily at a fair market value and without hassle. Think gold or cash. An asset that is illiquid will take more work to find a buyer and secure a deal. Real estate or your car would be an example. Liquidity, as the name suggests, is a term used to describe the availability that exists for selling or buying any asset, how likely you are to be able to sell your asset at a fair price. If liquidity is low, it will be more difficult to finalize a transaction, unless you opt to wait a long time or cut into your profits. Sometimes no transaction can be found at all, and the owner of an asset can be left stuck holding the bag until an opportunity presents itself. This is why liquidity is important in any market. An item that is harder to sell is less appealing to anyone who wants to be sure that at the end of the day they'll be able to sell it for their money back. Market makers such as Coinbase, the New York Stock Exchange, or Bitmart determine the market of an asset using what's called an order book model, where buyers and sellers come together and place their orders for a particular asset in a large list format. Sellers are trying to maximize their profits, while buyers are trying to get the best deal possible. Centralized exchanges such as these algorithmically determine the price of an asset based on current buy-sell orders, historical data, and several other factors. With decentralized finance, or DeFi, exchanges are not operated by third parties. They must rely on code to ensure they work properly. Pancake is an example of a decentralized exchange, or DEX, where there is no order book model. Instead, these exchanges rely on liquidity pools to determine the price and availability of assets they list. Liquidity pools are basically the order book of decentralized exchanges. Liquidity pools determine the market, how much an asset is worth, and how easily you can buy or sell it at a fair market value. A liquidity pool is like a wallet, but it instead holds two tokens inside of it. One of these tokens is the token we are creating a market for. In our case, it's Safemoon, but it could very well be a different token like BUSD or any token we want to buy or sell on Pancake. The other token, however, needs to have a market outside of the liquidity pool, meaning the price needs to be stable enough to survive in multiple other markets. Binance token, BNB, is an example of this. BNB has its own centralized exchange, and it is listed on many others. This creates a large and diverse market for it. The price of BNB will stay around the same between all of these markets due to arbitrage, and if you don't know what that word is, the link above goes to my video explaining it in more detail. The value of BNB is not determined by one market. The buys and sells of BNB on Binance will differ from the buys and sells of BNB on Gemini or Crypto.com. This gives BNB a real-world value, so to speak. Now, Safemoon, or any DeFi token on Binance's blockchain, can put itself into a liquidity pool with BNB, using BNB's price to give the coin in question a value. This is done the following way. Let's say I make a new coin and name it Mark's Coin. I create 10,000 Mark's Coin and decide to keep none of it and place all of it inside of a PancakeSwap liquidity pool paired with BNB. I am a small startup with very little funds to get started, so I will put 100 BNB into the liquidity pool with my 10,000 Mark's Coin. The initial price of Mark's Coin from this point on will now be 100 divided by 10,000, or 0.01 BNB. From here we can use the price of BNB, which at the time of writing is $351, to get our initial value of Mark's Coin at $3.51. This is how tokens that are seemingly worthless still have an initial value to them. The way DEXs calculate price is far more simple than how centralized exchanges do with order books. What PancakeSwap does is use the constant product market maker equation, which is super simple, yet still has a number of benefits. The constant product market maker equation goes as follows: X times Y equals K. It can be more intricate than this if you factor in transaction fees, but there's no reason to overcomplicate things for this video. X is the quantity of token 1 in the pool, and Y is the quantity of token 2 in the pool. The main thing to take away from this function is the fact that the product K is held constant and does not change. Let's see what the K value for Mark's Coin is. So we take our 10,000 Marks coin and we multiply that by the 100 BNB to get an answer of K equals 1 million. Now K cannot change, and this may not seem important, but let's walk through an example of the first transaction that takes place with Marks coin. Bob wishes to spend 50 BNB on Pancake swap to receive 5,000 out of my 10,000 Marks coin, hoping to become our largest whale and own half of the supply right off the bat. If Bob's transaction goes through as he wishes, Pancake swap would deposit his 50 BNB and withdraw 5,000 Marks coin from the liquidity pool. This would leave the pool with 5,000 Marks coin and 150 BNB. Do you see the issue with this? If we multiply these values together, we get an answer of 750,000, which is incorrect. We need K to be constant at 1 million. So, how many Marks coin will Bob receive? Bob is spending 50 BNB, we know this, so we will update the amount of BNB from 100 to 150. By dividing both sides by 150, we can see that the amount of Marks coin left in the pool after this transaction needs to be 6,666 and 2/3, which tells us Bob will only receive 3,333 and 1/3 Marks coin instead of the 5,000 he had hoped for. The more BNB Bob tries to put in, the worse of a price he will get back, aka the more slippage he will be forced to pay. If he doubles up and puts in 100 BNB, he will only receive 5,000 Marks coin, or half of what the coin's actual value is. We can see this behavior if we graph the constant product formula. It results in this curve, and what this curve shows us is that the more BNB Bob offers in relation to the total supply in the pool, the worse of a deal he will receive. This works the same way if Bob was selling his Marks coin, which is scary. This highlights the two main purposes of liquidity pools: to prevent a crypto's value from plummeting to zero during a sell-off, and to always allow all buyers an opportunity to buy. But this is not sounding like a promising system. How does Bob pay a fair price for his Marks coin? By having more BNB in the liquidity pool to start. If we instead had put 100,000 BNB into the pool, we would have a K value of 1 billion. Now if Bob wants to spend 50 BNB for Marks coin, he will get the correct amount of Marks coin back at a fair price, because his addition of 50 BNB hardly affects the 100,000 BNB that are in the pool, and thus does not drastically inflate the ratio of Marks coin to BNB. In this scenario, 1 Marks coin is worth 10 BNB, so Bob paying 50 should net him about 5 Marks coin. What our math tells us is Bob will receive 4.9975 coins, much closer to what we want. The larger the K value, the constant product of our token's quantities, the more stable the currency is. This is where we can really see the importance of liquidity. Since we had more liquidity in our pool in the second example, Bob was able to get a much better price for his token. Likewise, when Bob sells, he will have the same result. Having enough liquidity is essential for maintaining any DeFi currency, and this is where Safemoon enters the ring. If you check on BSC scan, you can see the current amount of Safemoon and BNB in the liquidity pool. At the time of making this video, we can see that there are 9.5 trillion Safemoon and 100,737 BNB in the liquidity pool. This gives us a K value of 957 quadrillion. For those of you who have been checking, and for those of you who will start checking from here on, the K value of Safemoon does not remain constant. It bounces around day to day, but it steadily grows over time. This is because there is extra liquidity being added into the Safemoon liquidity pool daily, which is not the case for the majority of DeFi tokens. This tells us that the stability of Safemoon will increase over time, and larger buys and sells will impact the price less and less as time goes on. Before I continue, let's use the current stats about the liquidity pool to calculate Pancake Swap's current price of Safemoon. To find the price, we need to find the ratio of Safemoon to BNB that are in the pool. This is as easy as dividing the number of BNB by the number of Safemoon. This result is the ratio of how many BNB there are to every Safemoon token in this pool. We can then take this result and multiply it by the price of BNB to get the answer of 0.000003726, which is exactly correct when I did this math on June 8th. Right now, large sell-offs affect the price drastically, but Safemoon is still young, and its liquidity pool has more room to grow. The larger the pool gets, the less of an effect large transactions will have on the overall price of Safemoon. Now, before any of you get overly concerned about our intimate correlation with the price of BNB, we are not as reliant on them as you may think. Safemoon is listed on many centralized exchanges that do not use liquidity pools to determine price, meaning that the Pancake swap price cannot stray too far from the other prices, or arbitrage actors will even them out for a profit. Once the bridges are built connecting Safemoon to multiple blockchains instead of living solely on Binance's blockchain, the price of BNB will have zero impact on Safemoon overall. At this point, you should have a basic understanding of how liquidity pools work and how price is determined on decentralized exchanges, but now I need to take your attention over to the FUD. How Safemoon uses liquidity is the hottest topic for FUD out there right now. Even once reputable sources are blindly spreading false information, and it's not that the information they present is false, but they use it as an excuse to draw several incorrect conclusions about Safemoon, and those conclusions spread lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt where very little is needed. Before I go over any FUD, I will briefly review the source of truth, the blockchain, where data is unchangeable and written in code where there is no misinterpretation. You will see Uniswap mentioned. This is because Binance Smart Chain is a paper copy of Ethereum with a few values changed, and a restriction of validator nodes to be 21 selected individuals, instead of allowing anyone to become a validator like on Ethereum. And this is why Binance is far more centralized than Ethereum. But regardless of these differences, the process for creating a token on top of either blockchain is exactly the same. The code used to create an Ethereum token will create the exact same token on Binance's blockchain, as this functionality was literally copy and pasted. It goes as far to internally register the term Uniswap as PancakeSwap and Ethereum as BNB when they appear in the code. I won't be going over this long, so let's jump into the transfer function, as this function is called on every buy, sell, or transfer of Safemoon. Ignore the jargon and focus on these few lines. In the first line, we get the current balance of the Safemoon smart contract. Why are there funds in here? Because every transaction that occurs, it will store 5% of it in this address until it reaches this descriptively named threshold called num tokens sell to add to liquidity. If the balance of the Safemoon contract reaches whatever this variable is set to, the swap and liquefy function is called, passing in this balance as a parameter. This is the function that adds Safemoon and BNB into the liquidity pool. How often does this happen? If we scroll up, we can see that num tokens sell to add to liquidity is defined as being 500 billion. The 10 raised to the 9 at the end there is only to cancel out the 9 decimal places Safemoon uses. Once there are 500 billion Safemoon set aside for liquidity, the Safemoon smart contract automatically splits this balance in half. Half of it, or 250 billion Safemoon, is sold for BNB. So 250 billion Safemoon is added to the liquidity pool, and the equivalent amount of BNB is taken out. Once we have half of the funds in Safemoon and the other half in BNB, we call this add liquidity function on the two halves. What this does is add an equal ratio of Safemoon and BNB to the liquidity pool so the price does not decrease. However, if you recall, this BNB that we were putting back into the liquidity pool we had just sold and taken out from the same pool. So the result of this function being called does slightly lower the price of Safemoon in the short term by around 1.5%, depending on the ratio of BNB in the pool to the total market cap of Safemoon. But just know, this daily drop in price can never be greater than 5%. Lots of the current FUD that people are spreading about Safemoon relies on this fact. Crypto, Medium.com, InvestorPlace.com, several social media accounts, all of these people have lost my respect as viable sources. Again, it's not that their information is incorrect, but they apply that information in incorrect ways and as a result draw incorrect conclusions. Here is all the FUD they have spread about liquidity, condensed into 4 statements that hopefully everyone can understand. I will go through each one and either disprove it or explain why it is not as detrimental as they wanted to make it seem. I encourage everyone to go over the FUD they presented and make sure I covered all the important details. The links will be in the description. Number 1. Safemoon's liquidity function dumps the price of Safemoon by an average of 1.5% daily. If this function had never existed, the price would be over 30% higher than where it is right now. 2. The addition of only Safemoon and not new BNB to the liquidity pool is lopsided and will keep the price of Safemoon low. 3. The Safemoon liquidity pool is depleting. And 4. The Safemoon developers have full access to the liquidity pool. Number 1. The swap and liquefy function does lower the price of Safemoon by an average of 1.5%. This is correct. And if you add up all of the times that has happened, over 30% does add up, yes. However, the swap and liquefy function lowers the price of Safemoon without altering volume, which means at the point of writing this video, we have burned over 30% more coins and gained 30% more coins to date than we would have if this function never existed. In the short term, this does drive the price lower, but as I keep mentioning, lower prices mean more burns for the exact same amount of volume. What this will do will accelerate the rate at which we burn and earn tokens. The articles frequently comment on the price not steadily increasing as promised, but we are 3 months in, and in 5 years when we have a chart to zoom out on, these dips will be invisible. This coin takes time, volume, and love to grow. The short term is sacrificed to give us smoother sailing into the long term. If we can accelerate the rate at which we burn coins, eventually supply and demand will be what forces our value upwards. People need to learn to stop watching the price of Safemoon so closely. Personally, I only look at the daily volume and get either excited or disappointment based on that stat alone. As the price of Safemoon rises, this liquidity function will be called less and less often, due to less coins being transferred in each transaction. As we gain a stronger liquidity pool, this function will become obsolete. When we burn our tokens down low enough, this function will never be called again. Remember, it requires 500 billion Safemoon to be removed from transactions before it's ever called. 2. I keep hearing the term lopsided liquidity thrown around, especially from many of the FUD social media accounts. What they mean by this is, as we demonstrated earlier, when swap and liquefy is called, only extra Safemoon is put into the liquidity pool, because the BNB that is added is not external or new. It came directly from that same pool. But what these FUD actors are saying is when extra Safemoon is added to the liquidity pool without BNB, it is exactly like a sell order, putting extra Safemoon in the pool, which lowers its ratio to BNB, therefore its price. The difference here is that with a sell order, not only is Safemoon added, but BNB would be removed. In Safemoon's case, no BNB is removed, only Safemoon is added. This results in a behavior that is not commonly seen in liquidity pools. The K value, the stability of Safemoon, rises every time this function executes. Since it is only Safemoon being added to the pool, the price does decrease, but as payment toward greater stability in the long term. Even if the price does not directly rise on Pancake swap, when the price of Safemoon rises on other exchanges due to rising demand and the burning of the supply, arbitrage will force people to buy Safemoon on Pancake swap, which will pump the Safemoon liquidity pool full of BNB, bringing its price back up to where it would be without this function existing in the first place, while still offering better prices and slippage to everyone who takes part. 3. I basically proved this in point 2, but I get angry when I read this online. The liquidity pool is not depleting, only increasing. However, the burning of tokens will eventually catch up and reduce the supply in the liquidity pool over time. But this is not a bad thing by any means. 4. When swap and liquefy is called, pay attention to this line of the code. If we check the interface, this line is the to address, implying this is where the liquidity tokens go once this function executes. Liquidity tokens allow whoever owns them to pull their liquidity out of the pool, either in the form of BNB or Safemoon in our instance. As we see here, the liquidity tokens do go to the owner of this contract, or the developers. They have been incredibly open and honest about this, and all of the movement of these liquidity tokens can be tracked openly by anyone. If you are investing in a new project with anonymous developers with a questionable roadmap, you should be terrified of developers owning liquidity tokens, as they could sell these tokens and effectively rug pull their community. Let me highlight the differences between Safemoon and a token like this. Safemoon has public-facing developers and has established a legal entity in the UK. They cannot just steal everyone's money without facing legal implications. These developers have grown their brand to almost every single country in the world. If they did this, they would literally have nowhere to hide. Any hope of showing their faces to the public again would be gone. The Safemoon developers have very reputable backgrounds, working for the Department of Defense and other successful organizations, and as a result have been fully transparent with the entire community about what happens with the liquidity tokens. So far, the Safemoon team has only locked the liquidity, making it inaccessible to anyone for up to 4 years. The devs locked away $250 million without even blinking, and people are continuing to spread FUD now about the $30 million sitting in the liquidity pool today. If you have a good development team with ambitious, driven goals set on innovation, allowing them access to extra funding from the liquidity pool is not always a bad thing, especially when it's auto-generated the way Safemoon is. I believe if we let them, instead of losing our cool every time, the devs could use some of the liquidity for some amazing growth. They have also asked the community about using it for liquidity on other exchanges, as well as community charitable projects, such as donating to COVID relief in India. If it helps our brand or development of our use cases, at the end of the day, who cares? When the pool gets excessively large, we have seen the devs lock it, not run away with the funds. Even if the worst case happened and they did pull all of the liquidity from Pancake swap, they would be selling 9.5 trillion Safemoon, or less than 1% of the total supply. Each of our top 3 whales own more Safemoon than this, and thus pose a greater threat to our price. Of course, pulling of the liquidity would be horrible to our price on Pancake swap, but arbitrage would still allow these prices on various exchanges to even out at maybe 10 to 15% lower than what it was before. I personally do not believe the devs are trying to ruin their brand, image, and lives for a couple $1 million when they have had access to $250 million. I think they have far bigger plans in the works, and running away with some pocket change is not on their Innovate the World's digital currency structure roadmap. And to throw one of my favorite John Caroni quotes right back at you guys, governments don't work with rug pulls. If anyone watching this is about to start mindlessly regurgitating FUD in the comments, I would love to ask you to hold off and instead invite you to a live debate held either here, on Discord, or Twitch. If I get anyone interested, I will update all of you on Twitter with more information. Please tag the most bearish of FUD spreaders in this video, as I'm ready to take on anyone. Thank you guys for watching this video. Give a thumbs up and subscribe if I helped facilitate your understanding of liquidity, or at the very least, how it pertains to Safemoon.